to get us started, it almost feels like poetic justice that last week you were talking about how Reagan Kramer just she had been having good at bats and you knew a big moment was kind of coming, and then she has that 2-run shot. Will you just talk about what you saw from her stepping up in that moment?
Well, I mean, it was on a 2-strike count too. And so I think it's there's always a lot to be said for someone that hits a ball like that on a 2-strike count. She's obviously incredibly confident in a 2-strike count. She makes a pitcher work a lot. And I honestly didn't realize it was her only hit of the weekend with the production that she had. And so for her to swing like that in a 2-strike count in that situation and drive the ball out is just huge. It was really, really big, but she's been, I mean, really, really productive for us. And she still was this weekend without that bomb. But it was pretty cool. I mean, in that moment, it really did feel like if Reagan Johnson could just get on first, we were going to score and extend it, and obviously when she gets the triple and then Reagan hits it out, it's like, gosh, she couldn't draw it up any better on our side. But it was just a really exciting moment.
Yeah, I was going to ask, with just the speed that Reagan has, at the top of the lineup, to get her on in any situation, like that where you're needing a run. How big is that? Just knowing that she can turn a single into a double like that.
Oh, well, it's huge. And we felt really comfortable in the matchup. If she were to get on, a walk, a single, an error anyway, if she could get on first base, we felt comfortable in the matchup to get her to second and then give us 3 swings to try to get her in. So, yeah, I mean, it's big time. She obviously can fly. She has really great timing on top of that, just in her jumps. And so it's a game changer for us.
And then you hand the ball to Hannah Camden for her first SEC start Saturday. And I mean, 2 days later, she has 2 wins and SEC Freshman of the Week. What did you think of her weekend?
Oh, I was just really proud of her and really happy for her. She's had some really great outings for us. And so I think this was, building up to, giving her the ball. She earned it. And then she stepped up and just threw a really great game to a offense that's really explosive. And we saw that in flashes, but to kind of, keep their offense at bay or control their offense is really, really huge. There are some situations that weren't great. Our defense played really great behind her, turning, a number of double plays, but she's creating that. And it was big time.
And then I'll ask this last one and come back at the end. But in SEC play, Georgia is leading in, I think, batting average, slugging percentage hits, a lot of different categories offensively. They're really firing. Just what do y'all have to do to kind of slow them down?
I don't know. You got anything for us, Ethan? I'll take any suggestions on the call. I think that they are. I mean, they're at the top of the standings in a lot of areas in our conference, and rightfully so. They're a tremendous team with a ton of explosiveness and playing really well right now. And so I think for us, it's just, doing our thing and hopefully trying to contain it. Because I don't think you could go in realistically and think you're going to completely control it. That's not the kind of offense that they have. And so it's just making sure that we're controlling what we can and trying to contain it and kind of taking care of it on our side.
Coach D, I'm going to ask a question for Pig Trail Nation. They did a story on the Twins, and they are just wondering what it's like having a set of twins on your team.
What a great question, G. It's fun. We've known them for so long, and they are just really, really fun individuals and fun together. They are connected beyond any of us could really fathom. And so when they take that into a battery setting, it's a really, really interesting and really fun dynamic. They're competitors and they're great softball players, but they are off the field really lighthearted. They're really, really close, but yet really sassy with each other. And so it's really fun in a battery setting because, I think Lauren feels like she could be brutally honest with Ha, more so than other pitchers, and she is. And so it's just like interesting to see, the other day, Ha didn't have that great a spot. And they're coming off and you could see them talking to each other. And Lowe's like, you can't just throw that pitch there. You have to get that more inside. And then you have Ha going, well, he didn't give me the inside. And so I was trying to kind of work it over. And she was just like, well, that spot's not good enough. And it was just like so funny because Lowe would never talk to any of our other pitchers that way. But they just do a really good job they're great communicators with each other. And I think they know the heart behind all of it. And so they're really good teammates for each other and for everybody. So they're fun.
Porter, go ahead.
Let's start off with Hannah. Before y'all left for Christmas break, you're really working on shortening her stride and getting her pitches. How do you think that's really affected her inside pitch and really that outside curve she's developed?
Well, I think it's just given her, more than anything, I think it's just given her a little bit more control of her body. And so she can place it where she wants to with more ease when she stays connected in that way. But she's always had a really incredible drop. And so it's getting that change more consistent so she can throw it at any count, and then spotting it and cutting it in a way. But she's a competitor. She's always been really crafty. That's what's always drawn us to her. And so it's just kind of getting her to understand like the control piece of her body and then having more control with that. But most of what she's doing, she's done.
And with the transition of, Gamble going back to third, really having Lauren there to help calm her down opposed to a veteran. How did you get kind of really lucky in having someone like her behind the plate that can really calm her down opposed to giving up a spot at catcher?
Yeah, well, I think that Lowe has really stepped into that role beautifully. And it's interesting because I don't think many realize that she's a middle infielder that's catching. She's always been able to catch, but she's been a shortstop first and foremost. And so the job that she's doing back there has been huge for us. And I think a lot of times, this isn't your question, Porter, I know that I'm going off a little bit and giving Lowe some props that I think she deserves. But she is so good at balls in the dirt. So good that I think it goes unnoticed. And when you have a pitcher like Shanice or Ha that can just bury the ball on the plate and go for that chase swing and have full confidence that your catcher is going to glove it, it's really, really big for the pitchers to have that confidence. And she's so good at those and so smooth with her glove and her glove work that it goes unnoticed a lot. And so I think that the confidence that she gives our pitchers to be able to throw the ball where they need to is really big. And then the ability to work with her sister in such an in-sync way that they operate, I think just continues to instill confidence in Ha. It makes Ha really comfortable. And I think there's probably sometimes, like as all of us with any of our siblings or family members that kind of hold us a little bit more accountable than a teammate. I think there's probably times they want to kind of punch each other. I've seen it, more on one side than the other. One of them's a little bit more light than the other. I won't be naming who. But you have that dynamic that they just want the best for each other. And in that they can have really, really honest conversations. And it's kind of what you would hope out of all of your players, what they have together. It's pretty special.
Last thing for me right now is just heading into this Georgia series. It seems like the way the SEC slate's been going, it can be insert persons having a good weekend. How huge is that, knowing that with Hoffman coming alive, Kramer, Hedgecock really getting their bats going, coming into a very pivotal home series against Georgia?
Well, I honestly am just more happy that for them, more so than the matchup, or more so than anything, is they're working their tails off, and they're finally giving themselves a little bit of grace and a little bit of break, and we're seeing them kind of come out of it. And it's just creating a little bit more of a wave through, and they're finding ways to get it done. And so it's not necessarily the matchup with Georgia. It's just more so for them, and knowing that they're putting the work in and knowing that they've earned it, more than anything.
Dudley?
Sorry if this has been asked, got in here late. It seems like the five pitchers you have are kind of settling in the roles right now. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, I think that they are settling in nicely. I think there's still a little bit more settling we need to do, but I think that that's where I'm just really happy across the board with how this team continues to progress. And it's no different with the pitching staff. I think we saw Callie come out and have a great start. We saw Hannah have two great outings in an explosive offense. We saw Nikki come in and do her thing. We know Robin's ready. And so it's really great to see them settle in and know, how we need them to compete and work together and all of those things. And more than anything, I think they're just wanting to help and do whatever they need to for the team. And I think that's the mentality that's really special with this group. And it continues to get stronger every day. It's just like, okay, well, what do I need to do for the team? What does the team need? More than anything. And then just, stepping into that role and making the most of it. And I see that across the board, not just in the pitching staff.
Obviously in every sport in the SEC, there's major challenges each weekend. What kind of challenge does Georgia bring as it just keeps on going?
Oh yeah. I mean, every weekend there's, a long list of challenges. Georgia just flat swings it. They have a really, really explosive offense. I think they're at the top of the standings in a lot of things, in the conference. And so I think it's going in knowing that they're going to get theirs. And we just need to, contain it a little bit and compete. And so I think that's the big thing is knowing who they are, but also knowing who we are in that matchup and knowing that we have a lot of strengths in that matchup as well.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Do you find that you're preparing for the Georgia hitters like maybe teams prepared for your hitters last year? Is there a similarity there with the depth?
Yeah, I think so. I was talking to a friend the other day and they were like, this is like your team last year, and I see that of like, just, when I'm watching them and when I'm prepping for them, every batter has the ability to change the game. And so you can't take a pitch off, and you, I think more than anything, know that they just make each other better. I think that's what you looked at. You could see in our lineup last year is that, if you happen to get KB out, well, okay, now you have, I don't know who we had, Hannah McEwen. Yeah. Hannah McEwen. And then you have, Taylor Ellsworth, and then you have Daniel Gibson, and then you have Lenny Malkin, and then, and then you have, and that's what you see with the Georgia lineup is, just really veteran approaches. But you see veteran adjustments and them learning from each other, and you can see the conversations they're having, and you have a really good idea of what they are because you lived through it, last year. And so, yeah, I do see a lot of similarities with our team last year. Absolutely.
Including someone having those conversations who you know quite well.
I know. Yeah.
Two quick hitters. So the Twins are Ha and Low. That's what we need. Okay.
Yeah. Ha and Low.
I like that. That's fun.
Yeah.
Last thing for me with Reagan Johnson, I'm assuming you've seen a number of shifts with people that have tried different things defensively. Do you get a kick out of them? Do you look up and see a shift that is different with how they're trying to defend her and then watch her try and beat it?
Yeah, I do. There's oftentimes I see a shift and I'm like, I wonder where they got their information. Like, oh, I wonder what this is trying to do. And what I really love is that she doesn't get outside of herself in that shift. You know, that's what I really love, because that shows a maturity beyond, you know, being a freshman, is that a lot of times you're being defended in a way you've never seen. And a lot of times you're like looking and going, oh my gosh, there's this massive hole right here. That's all I have to do. And then you start getting outside of yourself or trying to do something that you wouldn't typically do. And she just stays the course, and does her thing, and more often than not lets her legs do the work. So I've just been really impressed with that overall.
Ethan?
Yeah, talking about similarities of Georgia to your team last year, so they kind of have similar with, you know, Kerpix and Walters, kind of like how Mary and Shanice last year, they pitch a ton of innings for them and really complement each other well. It seems like they pitch a lot of games, pitch a lot of times in the same game. Just what have you seen from those two and the way that they kind of hold it down in the circle for Georgia?
Well, I think that they have a really good 1-2 punch or 1-1 punch. I think they would consider them both aces, which we did last year with Mary and Shanice, and they complement each other really well. I think they supplement that with Macy a little bit, which we did, you know, a little bit last year. And so they're different in the way that you have to prepare really differently. So like with last year, how you prepare for Shanice is not how you would prepare for Mary. I mean, that's the same with Kerpix and Walters. What I think they're doing now is they continue to get better. And they continue to appear to have a lot more confidence, than maybe where they started at the beginning of the year. And so, I watch that team a lot because I think really highly of Tony. And obviously with Gibby in their dugout, I'm a huge fan of Danielle Gibson's. And so I watch them a lot because I have a lot of respect for how they do things. And so you're seeing his team progress. And it's fun to watch. I think they're a great team across the board.
And speaking on Gibby, you know, big home crowds have kind of become the norm at Bogle. How excited are you to let, you know, the Arkansas fans have her in the house now? And I think I saw like a jersey giveaway.
Yeah, there's a jersey giveaway on Thursday, I believe. It's fun. It's always fun to see our players go off into the coaching world. I've said this for a long time. She's going to be a great one. And you know, she always has been, with her perspective and just her ability to see the game and communicate that. So it's always fun to have alums come back in coaching roles. This one's not quite as fun, if I'm going to be really honest. Just being in the Georgia dugout and knowing her mind for the game and trying to, I mean, they're just a tremendous team and a great staff. And I know she's added a lot of value to that. So I'm excited to see her. I'm not excited to compete against her. And then I will be excited to see her again, you know, after the game. No, but it'll be fun. I'm excited for our fans to welcome her back. And she should get a really warm welcome back, as she's earned that. Absolutely.
Any final questions for Coach Deifel?
Yeah, Coach, was there any talk of maybe holding back the jersey giveaway till Saturday to see how much information she gives Georgia, or, you know?
Good point. Let's pivot there. We'll give it on the Saturday. The egg hunt. No. Yeah, I know. I'm really curious. I am really curious. I know that I'm not in those talks of when they do this, but I'll note that for the future. But I am curious, you know, just how we didn't play them last year. And so they wouldn't necessarily know a ton about our team. And we have a very different team. So a lot of them, you know, Gib hasn't seen either, but I am curious in how they approach our pitchers, and all of those things. So it'll be fun. It'll make us
Last
better.
thing for me, another kind of fun question is, you're talking about Lowe and Hogg getting at each other. Like, if they were to really get at each other, would you handle that situation any different because they're sisters, or is it something that you would have to handle in any normal situation?
Well, if they were ever you mean if it were to ever get ugly?
Yes.
I don't think they have it in them. If they were, I would step in, but most days I just look at it and know I've seen that dynamic in me and my sister. I'm just going to let them have their moment, and one of them works through it a little faster than the other. And as do me and my sister. And so I just more so have a appreciation for that relationship and know that they will get through it at their own time. But no, I don't think they have it in them to get too ugly.
That's all I got. Thank you.
Right. Thanks for your time, Coach D.
Sure. Thanks, guys.